So tonight, I want to talk about America, the United States of America, and the current state of our national security. For those of you who are not familiar or you don't specialize in areas where you are responsible for determining threats to safety and security. I've been doing that for decades now as a consultant, as an investigator. I've done my share of security work, and I know how to take a risk assessment. And the risk that I'm assessing to our country right now is a dire one. Everything from our food supply chain to our elections are under threat. There are forces at work who are intent on completely destroying the United States of America. They are aligning together to achieve this end. They are going to use several means to do this. Nothing's off the table when it comes to these people's agenda. And the part that is most disturbing is you have millions of United States citizens who are taking part in this agenda to overthrow the government and reset it as a communist utopia. So let's get into it. What threats are really facing this country right now that could turn this free country into a country under siege by outside influences who are operating within the government in collaboration with other American citizen elected officials? What are they willing to do and where are they willing to stop? And how far are they willing to go to achieve these ends? If I was being asked this by someone in our government who had the task of assessing the threats that are out there right now, because I don't feel like enough alarm bells are going off from the top to the bottom, or well, maybe that's a bad way to phrase it, but from the head of government to the public, the civilian public, right? I'm not comfortable with the level of concern for what's happening. And America's enemies are aligning strategically so that they can cause disruption in a lot of areas that could cause casualties, civilian casualties, and a disruption to everyday operations. So, if you go to my LinkedIn, you'll see that last year I wrote a white paper about the threats to our infrastructure, our national infrastructure, our critical infrastructure. There are certain infrastructure that's built into how the country stays up and running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We rely on certain sectors to be up and running all the time. Water, power, the electrical grid, like I said, power, certain things that I don't have the list in front of me, but there's about 13 critical infrastructure zones that need to be guarded at all time. And they are what these adversaries are looking to attack. And some of the proof of that is, like I said, what's going on with the food chain, to supply the food chain that feeds the United States citizens, the people of this country. There's too many suspicious things happening with the food supply. A few months back, they caught some Chinese nationals trying to smuggle in a fungus that could have, if it would have gotten to the agricultural chain line, food chain, it could have did a lot of damage to agriculture nationwide. Now, they weren't supposed to bring this fungus in, and it was later determined that their intentions weren't nefarious. So they were not charged with a serious crime or any type of act of terror. But obviously that's going to get you to thinking, and they were Chinese nationals, so that's why it looked very suspicious for them to have this fungus on them. And now, over the last going on a couple of months, Cyclospora, this sticky pathogen that's contaminating the produce. They still haven't pinpointed where it's coming from. A lot of you might know it as explosive diarrhea outbreaks. If you want to laugh, you can always go on one of the social medias and type in people or just explosive diarrhea caught on video. And, you'll see people crapping their pants and not really understanding why. I mean, I don't know why, people are having this, because really that's like an episode of people illness. And you got, sickos out there that want to record stuff like that while people are having one of the most embarrassing moments of their life. But so that is out there. And that's very concerning because our news media have been compromised. If they can't point the finger at Donald Trump, then they don't want to report it honestly. It has to all be Trump's fault, though. It's not worth reporting. So there were some changes made, I believe, at the Department of Agriculture. But it's just pork or bloated budgets that had to be decreased. We got to do more with less. That's all those cuts are really about. And tracking every pathogen that could pop up in the food chain obviously needs to be done, but it needs to be done effectively and efficiently, right? So let's not start pointing fingers and making this a political issue. The issue is whether or not someone's intentionally trying to contaminate the food chain supply, and if they are, who's responsible? Is it an inside job? Is it anarchists? Is it terrorists? Is it Islamist terrorists, jihadists that are on our soil? Is it them? Is it the Chinese? Is it the Iranians? Is it a false flag operation, not done by the government, but maybe by some of these far left lunatics? Because these people are going way too far with their push to socialize and then eventually turn America into a communist country. This is going beyond just, political back and forth. This is really becoming, we're at that point now where this is like the final call in a way. And a lot of people, for whatever reasons, want to see the demise of Western civilization, and the pinnacle of Western civilization is the United States, okay? I'm not supporting any foreign efforts to destabilize or harm our country in any way. And shame on anyone in the United States citizenry who is. So the reason why I say, getting back to my original point, is we're under attack from so many different directions. And I really hope that everyone who's responsible for keeping us safe keeps their eye on as many of these balls that they need to keep their eye on. Like I mentioned earlier, foreign adversaries, far left lunatics, Islamists inside of America, the illegals, the gangs, and then you have what's going on with the elections, right? Why are there so many illegal immigrants registered to vote in our country? I don't have the clips, but there's a lot of clips floating around of certain Democrats inferring they're implying that certain people should, that illegal citizens should vote if they feel that it's their right. They're literally telling these people to break the law if they feel it's the right thing to do. So the elections are under threat because the far left won't do the SAVE Act. You see how all of this is tying together? I'm going somewhere with this. I know it might seem like get to the point already, but the way I have to analyze this and then do a point by point on why these threats are here, they're present, and they're all connected. So I want to, do them one by one so that you see where I'm going with this. So the elections are being compromised willingly from inside actors, elected officials, governors, mayors, looking the other way on voter fraud. These far left lunatics, these Dems, They will do anything now to win. Anything. All of their integrity has gone out the window. It's gone. These people are gone. Their policies are insane. To me, it's just like unbelievable, because you have people like Van Jones and Hakeem Jeffries, who are already far left, open border lunatics, amnesty lunatics. But now these DSAs candidates are trying to say, oh, really? Hold my beer. I'm going in. And what they're proposing they want to do to our country is nothing short of a declaration of war on our government and its citizenry by this covert action, coordinated act that they think these is. Let me be clear. It's an Islamist, far left, radical, progressive Democrat alignment who support illegal immigrants, open borders, amnesty, socialism, Sharia law, and the expulsion of our way of life over here. These people think that they can come over here and vote, corrupt our political system, and install a system of laws and governments that are anti-American and against our Constitution. And they think that we're going to just allow this to happen. The fact that some of you have managed to slip in and get some traction in these early voting primaries is nothing compared to what November is actually going to be like. You're going to see, we're going to rise up and we're going to take our country in the right direction. Common sense, American way of living, and American law and order. Remember, law and order, that's right. Everybody think that this is a place where you could just come and start letting chaos ensue. But there's people, the everyday citizens of this country, who, the real patriots who love this country, are not going to take this lying down, I promise you. And we're not as easily duped as you might think. That's why we put Donald Trump back in office. Because anybody can see open borders is a recipe for a disaster, which obviously now I'm going to talk about the fourth problem with our country right now, and that's the illegal immigrants and the push to reopen our borders. These sick Democrats think that if they can gain enough seats in the House and in the Senate, that they can override the president and reopen the borders. However, the globalists overplayed their hand when they decided that they were going to flood Spain, the country of Spain, with Moroccan immigrants and maybe illegals from other parts of Africa. Now, I don't want to get into the whole visuals and everything that went on. You can find that on the internet. The point is, that's why we reelected Donald Trump, to keep our borders secure. That was my number one issue, despite everything else. It shocks a lot of people that a person of color in America can have a no open borders, a closed border, a completely closed border position. They think that a person of color cannot think like Donald Trump. Oh, they call it white supremacy. Well, guess what? I don't believe in effing white supremacy. I'm going to say this here and I'm going to say this now. What you call white supremacy is just good branding, good PR on behalf of the white race. They just knew how to brand themselves. They made what they did the envy of the world. And they kept running with it. They kept making it better. They kept raising the bar. That's not supremacy. That's called competitiveness. White people as a whole is just a brand. It's a label. It's a PR campaign. The smart money makers in the white world know this. They know this. Now the poorer white people who don't have anything in America and very poor, they say to themselves, well, I'm white. I'm supposed to have every advantage in this country. What's going on? I'm white. So they confuse being white with that's not, you still got to have a work ethic, buddy. In order to, if you don't come from money and you want to get money, you got to get out there and get money. And get financial security. You don't just run around America crying about, I'm white, I should have everything. Oh, I'm a white superior. See, they got it confused. They don't know how do you say, leverage their brand. Their brand is being white. But they're not selling it like that. Some of them. Like I said, the ones with the money understand that. It's a play. Being white's a play. That's all it is. But psychologically, marketing is about psychology, and they got you thinking that because they hold everything they do to a higher standard in order to keep their brand, the preferred brand, so that they can keep the money coming in, a lot of people confuse that with them saying we're white superior or we're white supremacy. No. To me, that's not what it means. And if you put your critical thinking cap on, I think you would start to agree with me. That's why I'm not even concerned with that. I'm America first. That's it. This is my country, and if you don't think I'm supposed to be here, guess what? I don't care. It don't bother me. I get up and still do what I got to do and enjoy life every day, Holmes. And I just wanted to put that out there to bring some balance to why a lot of people of color support Donald Trump, support our administration, support ICE. Because we don't want a bunch of Islamist murderers coming over our borders to do us harm and go crazy. So open borders is another threat to this country. The years that Biden was in office were years where they allowed millions of people into this country. Tom Homan always talks about the millions of people who never even tried to check in with Border Patrol. They just wanted to come straight into the interior of the country. We don't even know what these people are up to. But I guarantee you it's no good. And one of the worst case scenarios is terrorist activity. See, a lot of people, and I don't blame y'all because it takes people with a certain type of mindset to see threats where they are. That's just one of my things that I was gifted with by God. So I'm here to tell you that we are under serious threat as a country by a lot of different forces. And forces that never used to be in alignment with each other are aligning for the purpose of overthrow. Factions in this government, on the far left, other political movements that are privately funded. The DSA is a clear and present threat to America as we know it. The Islamist threat is there. See, the DSA is filled with a bunch of Islamists and LGBTQ people and illegal immigrants. There's a few other disparate groups in there too that are trying to overthrow our country. And then the deep state, the globalists in the deep state, their agenda aligns with the DSA's agenda. No borders and freedom to go wherever you like in the global on the globe, right? So if they can get our country to give into that madness, then all the other countries they feel will fall in line. Am I correct? Because that's what I feel that this is about. Based on a lot of evidence that all of this is about people's hatred for the freedoms of this country. So, continuing on, I wouldn't feel right if I didn't come on this platform and inform my American brothers and sisters of what's really at stake here in the next election. These far left lunatics are ready to betray our entire country, to give it over, to transfer the wealth of this country, not to the poor citizens of this country, which in and of itself is not really how that works. But the idea that they're going to take the wealth and try to give it to illegal immigrants, that they're going to open up the border to and try and allow to come here unvetted. Like I said, if you can make it here, then they want to offer you residency here. That's their goal. American citizens, some natural born citizens, and a lot of foreigner citizens, people that came here from foreign lands, got elected to political office, and now they're using that power that they got acquired to undo the country that gave them the freedoms that they now enjoy to do what they want to do. You get what I'm saying, right? So there's a lot of people plotting to hurt this country. We got a lot of threats. We got to watch for a lot of things. Now, if you're keeping up with me, and I mentioned earlier about a paper I wrote, because remember, for those of you that don't know, I'm a certified cybersecurity consultant. So when you talk about critical infrastructure, all of our nation's critical infrastructure have components that are run by cyber controls, computer controls. And even though a lot of them are not online, the terrorists out there know where they are and how to attack them. And the proof of that now is we now know that within the last 24 hours, the Iranian government was trying to attack the water systems here in the United States. And that is an indicator of an escalation of Iran's cyber abilities to hurt this country. Now, in my estimate, they're not working alone. What's happening is they have people on site. Because some systems you have to be present in order to disrupt. You can't do it over the internet. You got to be there. You got to be on site. So if Iran was able to compromise a public water system as some sort of test run, that's another attack vector that could put this country in peril. And again, I don't hear enough from our politicians. I don't hear enough from the right. Say what you want about the Republican Party. They're all we got right now. And they're being led by Donald Trump, the greatest president of our lifetime. He was the one that came in and closed our border. So we didn't wind up looking like what's going on over there in Spain, even though scenes like that were taking place all throughout the Biden administration. As soon as I get some time, I'm going to clip up and I'm going to put it all out there. How, let's take a look back at what was happening before the elections of November 2024. Why was our military being told to stand down while thousands of military-aged men stormed our border fences and stormed into our country? Why were they not immediately cut down? I don't know why you think those people life and safety means more than all Americans' life and safety means. And even though we were able to get Trump in there, unfortunately, he's not going to be there forever. And those of us who love this country are trembling at the thought that border could be reopened indefinitely, forever, by a bunch of people who weren't born here and usurp power by deception. So it's up to us, America, to get to the polls and also be ready to defend our country. I'm talking to American citizens who want to unite under just being Americans now. We got to stop letting these outsiders divide us. We got to stop letting these insiders divide us. I really don't get it sometimes. Why would you be a natural-born citizen of this country but not put this country first and its citizens first? I honestly just sometimes it's speechless over the way these people don't see what they're doing as a betrayal. But I'm not finished with this topic, guys. But I wanted to start to really open up the conversation on this because this is real. This is not a trending topic for me. This is something that until recently wasn't that big of a threat factor to me. But it has increased exponentially over the last couple years because you could just feel that there are too many ill-intentioned people in this country for everything to just turn out okay without us taking the measures that need to be taken. I'm tired of a lot of you people out there, you're whining. I don't, why are you whining? What's the whining all about? This has to be done. You see what happened in Spain. You see what's happening in Germany. You see what's happening in Italy. You see these things. It's there. You can see it. Migrants from other countries are overrunning these Western countries. I don't care about the history. I don't care about discrimination or whatever you want to, whatever trope you want to use to try to justify the unjustifiable. Stay on your side of the fence until you get permission to enter. And when you're asked to leave, leave. So there are numerous threats facing our country right now. And they're not just potential. I think they're active. They're happening now. Again, look at what happened with the water supply. Iran is being accused of being behind an attack, a cyber attack on the water supply. So, like I said, the attack vectors are live, and the enemy is within the gates, and they are here in many forms. Now, I'm not going to go spiritual on y'all just yet. Let's just keep it on this plane right here, right? America is a country that was formed after all the study of all the world history up until that point. Now, there's a lot of discussion about how, we should never forget the history that got us here. But I would advise everybody to put that to the side. Let's just live in the here and now for right now. Let's focus on the threat. Now, when I'm talking about the attack on the water supply, that's a technological issue that could turn into an attack. The potential attack on the food chain could be looked at as a biological attack if it's proven that it is an attack. But even if these things are happening due to other circumstances, it still brings attention to what could possibly happen when you have all of these elements so close into proximity that want to do mass casualty damage to the United States populace. And we know that terrorists would have a hard time getting materials for explosives. Those things are tracked very closely. So what they're doing is they're changing their methods. They're changing their tactics, their techniques, their procedures in order to do damage in other ways. They're trying to protect us, but remember, they only have to get one act right one time to do irreversible, catastrophic damage to our country. So I want to leave you with this. Everything that our government is doing to keep us safe, the removal of these illegals is very important. And I know that some people, this makes people emotional. It doesn't make me emotional. I know what has to be done. This has to be done in order to protect the people of this country first. We don't owe safety and security to the whole world, especially at the cost of our own citizens. Our government owes us the protections that our Constitution guarantees us. And that's just that. So, especially now, because illegal immigrants and foreigners, let me point this out as well. The illegals are one category of threat. Now, they do a lot of organized crime and a lot of street crime. I'm not going to sit here and say that illegals are the number one threat when it comes to the terrorist threat. I'm not prepared to say that just yet. But like I said, I'm not the person that's going to say, let's wait and see what they do first. No, let's get them out. That way, we don't even have to worry about what they do. The idea that if an illegal is put in detention and getting put in deportation proceedings, and their argument is, well, he didn't commit any crime. Let me tell you something. There's a first time for everything. Most of these illegals who don't have violent criminal records, I promise you, the longer they stay here under the radar, hiding in the shadows, they will develop a drinking problem. That drinking problem is going to one day lead to them driving drunk and killing someone. It's happening already constantly, and it's just going to increase. These people have no accountability, and they take no responsibility for anything. But in America, we take accountability and we take responsibility. That's why in one of my other social medias, I made a video, an information piece. It was a short, but it was an effective, powerful statement. And I declared that only people to blame for dead illegals getting shot and suicided by ICE is the illegals themselves. You refuse to leave, you are going to cause problems for everybody else in the line of fire, so to speak. I'm not saying that ICE should just go out there and shoot illegals. What I'm saying is when they're trying to do their job and you try to prevent them from doing it to the point where you're now threatening their safety and you get shot, I consider that to be suicide by ICE. I have no sympathy for any of you. And that sentiment is growing in this country, especially after the events of this past week. where it was a reminder. What took place in Spain was a clear reminder. Not only are we talking about illegal migrants entering your country by the thousands in some, like in this swarm, flash mob style, 10,000 deep every hour, right? Why is there only military fighting age men coming into these countries when they claim that asylum and migration is about trying to get women and children to safety and security? And all you see is a bunch of men, right? And they're not just any men. If America was to open up their borders again, you wouldn't just be inviting the Chinese and the North Koreans to send spies over here and other hostiles. You're opening up for more Islamists and jihadists to walk into this country and blow up stuff. And when they can't blow up stuff, they'll do random attacks on the street. Set people on fire like that lunatic did at that Jewish event last year or the year before. I'm not going to stand by and watch this happen in my country and remain silent. So I hope it serves as a stark reminder to you, those of you who supported Trump in the mass deportation movement, but somehow you let the lying fake news media convince you that ICE is the bad guy, and you're starting to question whether or not this is the right thing to do. Don't question it. It's the right thing to do. Trust me. Trust me, bro. It's the right thing to do, without question. In America, we have to live by the law, by the rules. You break the rules, you pay the consequences. That's it. I've been taught that since I was a child. My siblings taught that since I was a child, since we were children. My cousins taught that since we were children. My older adults, my parents, my aunts, my uncles. You obey the law or you pay the consequences. That's it. That's it. That's how Americans get down. When we don't obey the rules, we get punished. And it ain't no different for you illegals. No. Especially when you come off arrogant with a sense of entitlement and no regard for the rest of the laws in this country. So, folks, America, let's get it together. Let's stand as one. America first. Let's stand as one for once. What's it going to take to really bring this country together and its people? To hell with the outsiders. This is what I wanted to say. The illegals that we know are here illegally, they got to go. But we also have to revisit anybody that's entered this country through any other kind of program, and all of their paperwork needs to be gone over with a fine-tooth comb. So if you are here on some type of relief, your paperwork better be good. Your visa application, whatever it is that got you over here, you better not have lied not one bit. Because I know a group of people that are pushing for audits like you would not believe. So you might have a legal status here now, but if you are a part of a radical group, if you support terrorists and you withheld that, and we find out if you're an Islamist that wants to harm our country, and you withheld that information on whatever paperwork you used to get here, we going over everything. So y'all not fooling nobody. Y'all not fooling anyone. We are going to structure this pushback as strategically as possible. We re-examining all of you foreigners, all of you. Because one thing I can say about the illegals, the far left talk about, oh, but they work hard. They work hard. They contribute. But are they loyal patriots of this country? Are they America first and only? Or do they still hold allegiance to some foreign government? But because they contribute, we supposed to look the other way about that? No, not anymore. Not anymore. It's a new day. All you foreigners are getting looked at. You're going to get a second look. And if things ain't right with your paperwork, yeah, I hope they call you in and say, look, so you need to clarify something. And if your answer ain't right, bye-bye. No disloyal foreigners are going to be allowed to stay in this country anymore. No disloyal illegals are going to be allowed to stay here anymore. There's going to be a full court press to get you out of here because you pose a threat. I can't keep saying this. You pose a threat and it needs to be remedied. So thank you for listening, folks. If you like my content and this discussion we're having, I know it seems harsh to some of y'all or to some people out there. Why am I taking such a hardline stance against these people? I have to. A lot of us feel that way, and we're not wrong. We're not wrong. So I would like your support because I immigration is not the only thing that I have to offer in terms of discussion and expanding like our thoughts on certain topics. So, like my channel if you like the content, subscribe, leave comments, let's interact and stay tuned for some more on this topic. I'm not finished here because between now and this next election, some people are like so disenchanted with the political process, but this is just not business as usual. This is way more critical than that. And we'll talk about that the next time. So thank you for listening and have a great night.